today we're doing something that could be seasonal in the summer, but it also makes a great winter dish. So today it's roasted vegetables with nuts, balsamic vinegar, and basil. Say that 3 times fast. All right, we're going to start with a big empty bowl, and we're going to put things in it. We're going to stir them around. So I've got basically half of a red bell pepper that I've cut in fairly large cubes because it is going to be roasted. We want the pieces to be fairly large. So they're about 1-inch pieces. I've also got 1-inch pieces, about half a cup of an orange bell pepper. Now, if you didn't want to invest in 2, you didn't have any use for the others, you could use all red or all orange. You could also use all green, but we've got other green things going in here, and this really does add a lot of color, so I encourage you to use it. I've got half a cup of red onion, same size, big 1-inch pieces that are going in there, and about 4 ounces of baby portobello mushrooms or cremini mushrooms. You could use regular white mushrooms or button mushrooms as well. Any of them will work very, very nicely. And then we're going to put in a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and about 1/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt. We're going to toss those together a little bit, and then we're going to put them on a large baking sheet. Now the baking sheet is going to appear to be larger than we need for the amount of vegetables that I'm putting on it at this moment. But keep in mind, we've got all the other ingredients that are on the counter here are going to go in also. So I've got an oven that's preheating at 400 degrees. I've got to get these in here, and then you want to make sure you spread them out as much as you can. And I like to make sure that a flat side of the mushroom, I quartered the mushrooms. If yours are really small, you may only want to cut them in half. Also separate the onions as much as you can so that you want pieces separated out there. Shake them apart a little bit and then put them in the 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes, and that will get the initial roast on these particular vegetables, which take longer to cook. They're more dense, and so we want to make sure that we have time for these to get done without the others getting overdone. So 400-degree oven, about 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes, and it's ready. I'm going to stir these around a little bit, make sure we don't have any that are sticking to the pan. We're getting a nice roast on what we've got here. You can see some of those mushrooms really have some beautiful golden color to them now. What we're going to do next is add more to that tray. So let me double check, make sure we get it right. I've got a cup of sugar snap peas that are going in there that are just gorgeous. Now these are things that take less time to roast and get to perfection than the things that we already had in there. I've also got a cup of zucchini, or about 1 small zucchini that's cut about 1/4 of an inch thick. Make sure with the zucchini, and we've also got the same amount of yellow squash that are going in here, break them apart a little bit because they do tend to adhere to each other. And again, we want things to roast separately, not in stacks, so that we get a nice color on them as well as get them evenly cooked. That's the concept, is we're cutting these things in similar sizes and putting them in at similar times, roasting times, so that we get everything roasted to more or less a tender crisp stage. So I think I've got 2 cloves of garlic, double checking here. 2 cloves of garlic that are going to go in there as well. I'm going to stir these around a little bit. And then we're going to add the last ingredient that I want on the top. Now, notice that we use very little oil for the amount of vegetable that we're getting here. You could use less vegetables. This serves 5. If you didn't have that many people, you could easily cut down the amount of vegetables that you use. If it was springtime and you had asparagus, you could add that in at the same point where we added in the peas here. Again, we're going to try and shake that a little bit, try and even it out a little bit so we have it pretty much in one layer as much as possible. The next thing I'm going to throw in here is a half a cup of either walnuts or pecans that are fairly coarsely chopped. And these are going on the top because nuts taste better when they're toasted or roasted. And if we keep them towards the top, they're going to have a chance for that to happen. If we mix them in, there's less probability that they're all going to get that nice toastiness that we want, but keeping them on the top, they will. This is going to go back in the oven for somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes. Keep an eye on it. You're primarily keeping an eye on those nuts. You don't want them to get too dark. Again, same oven, a little bit shorter time. Doesn't that look absolutely wonderful? It's almost done. We've got 2 more little things we're going to do to it. I've got some balsamic vinegar, 2 teaspoons. We're just going to sprinkle that over the top. And obviously you can see that's not a real even sprinkle, so I'm going to stir it in a little bit as well. as we move it from one place to the other. That gives it a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of tartness too, because it is vinegar. So stir those together, and while I'm doing that, I'm going to start moving it over to the platter. This actually works really great with any kind of grilled meat or roasted meat that you may have, whether it be poultry or red meat. And it also comes out great as leftovers too. So even though it makes 5 servings and you may only have 2 in your house, you may want to go ahead and plan on making the whole thing so that you have plenty for lunch the next day as well. Or you may find that you like it so much you're going to eat the whole thing right away. Last step that we're going to do on this is to put a little bit of basil across the top of it. I'll catch those last 2 bits in a little bit here. I've got about 2 tablespoons of fresh basil. Now this is one time where fresh basil is really more of an advantage to you as far as flavor. Dried basil really would not work very well here. And I have just shredded it a little bit, put that over the top, and then maybe a couple little sprigs to use as garnish. I hope you'll try this one. It's really something a little bit different. It's got some flavors that we usually don't see coming forward together very often at home. It's roasted vegetables with nuts, balsamic vinegar, and basil. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.